And now to introduce the Lifetime Achievement Awardee, please welcome the Ambassador of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg to the United States, Her Excellency Nicole Bintner-Bachchen.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. I'm going to use a quote to start, which was already used by Michael, but I think it's so potent and so powerful. The only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. So I think we all agree on that. It is with this quote of Sir Arthur C. Clarke that I am very humbled to introduce you tonight to a person who more than anyone has not only shaped a company and a national strategy, but whose vision and foresight have deeply shaped the satellite industry as a whole. It is a special honor for me to introduce Romain Bausch, who most of you will know through his visionary work at the helm of SAS, the Luxembourg satellite company. I know Romain will tell you himself about the incredible journey during which he turned SAS from a regional startup to a worldwide global powerhouse, from a purely European direct-to-home TV satellite operator to a leading global satellite company with now a fleet of over 70 satellites in GEO and MEO orbits, and with a diverse offering going far beyond video distribution. So on my part, I would like to tell you why it is so special for me as Luxembourg's ambassador to the United States to have the privilege to introduce Romain Bausch. Throughout his life, Romain has always taken a long-term strategic perspective. At the heart of this perspective was the development of Luxembourg, the country he so faithfully served at the beginning of his career as a civil servant in the noblest sense of the word at the Ministry of Finance, and then as CEO and president of SAS, and in other important positions to the country, not the least of which in his current role as president of the Advisory Board on Public Finances. You imagine an important role. So his leadership did not only shape SAS, but it shaped Luxembourg's economy and the country's identity as a whole. And I would like to quote former Prime Minister Juncker. The cornerstone to the SAS success story was set with a firm and hopeful belief in the future of a new Luxembourg. Or, as some of our American friends like to say, Luxembourg is bigger in space than on Earth. Today, SAS, headquartered in Luxembourg, is a global company, and I know some of our colleagues are here tonight, so a special welcome to them, with a significant presence in the US, which accounts for an important part of its business. Little would we have dared to imagine that. So with SAS at its core, the country has been growing a space industry centered on creating vibrant and welcoming ecosystems for space companies, and realizing that space exploration can only be done through solid partnerships and strong cooperation, Luxembourg was one of the 8 founding nations of the Artemis Accords. But we are here to speak about Romain. So when I asked, and a few personal things which are interesting, when I asked some of his colleagues about his leadership style and his recipe for success, 2 answers came back consistently. First, his insatiable desire to learn and understand every side of an issue. He left nothing to chance. And second, his calm, patient, and respectful demeanor and the empathy for his colleagues, for whom he has always had a friendly word. And I think that's what you will experience tonight. These qualities, combined to his long-term perspective, define the remarkable and visionary leader whom Romain Bausch has been for almost half a century now, even though I don't want to make him any older than he is. Sir Arthur C. Clarke was convinced that it was our personal responsibility to use all our capabilities to imagine and shape a better future. I can only say that Romain Bausch has fully embodied these principles throughout his career and keeps on living them every day. Thank you, Romain, for all that you have done, for your hard work, your dedication and vision, with a profound and lasting impact on your company, your country, but also on humanity as a whole by connecting billions. Einstein said, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." I am sure Romain will keep moving and inspiring many of us. Congratulations for being a proud and deserving recipient of the Sir Arthur C. Clarke Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you.
Please welcome this year's recipient of the Clarke Award for Lifetime Achievement, Romain Bausch.
For our final award this evening, it is the honor of the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation to award its Lifetime Achievement Award to Romain Bausch for leadership and commitment to extending the benefits of satellite communications around the world.
Sorry, but Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, I'm deeply honored to stand before you today and accept the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation. This recognition carries a profound significance, not just for me as an individual, but as a representative of the incredible journey we have undertaken in the satellite industry. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Foundation for this prestigious award, and I wish to share with you the reasons why this moment resonates so deeply with me. Sir Arthur Clarke was a true game changer, and his groundbreaking work in the 1940s on the concept of geostationary rocket stations for global radio wave broadcasting laid the foundation for today's satellite industry. He was one of those remarkable individuals who had the ability to reshape people's perspective and redefine reference terms. The idea of geostationary satellites may seem obvious in hindsight, but it took a creative mind to calculate, conceptualize, and introduce this groundbreaking idea based on scientific principles. Regrettably, I never had the privilege to meet Sir Arthur in person, and I can only speculate on his thoughts about the Foundation's choice of awardee. However, 2 decades ago, on SES's 20th birthday in 2005, we had the privilege of screening a video message from Sir Arthur recorded in Sri Lanka. In his message, he reflected on his research and the impact of his idea of extraterrestrial relays. He expressed his astonishment at how this initial idea had flourished to the point where he was regarded as the godfather for communication satellites. He lauded SES for driving the market and serving as a key innovator in the industry. His recognition extended to Luxembourg, a nation he believed possessed the vision and determination to advance human communication through satellite technology. So today, as we reflect on the satellite industry, on SES, and on the remarkable individuals who contributed to its success, we also remember our home country ambassador, Luxembourg. While Luxembourg might not be the first nation that comes to mind when thinking about space, its unique strengths and strategies have left an indelible mark on the communication industry. Why Luxembourg, you might ask? In part, it stems from the fact that due to the size, so small is beautiful from time to time, Due to the size, Luxembourg has always relied on international investments and on open borders for economic growth. In media and communication, this approach has been combined with the intelligent use of sovereign rights granted to nations. It first took shape in 1930, when the state of Luxembourg granted a group of private international investors the right to use terrestrial frequencies, paving the way for the launch of the first commercial radio station in Europe, Radio Luxembourg. Terrestrial TV was added in the mid-50s, and when most European countries opened the commercial TV stations in the 70s and 80s, RTL expanded its presence throughout the continent. Around the same time, the satellite technology entered the picture. While many viewed Luxembourg's space ambitions as overly ambitious for a small nation, successive governments pursued the vision to expand radio and TV distribution on a larger scale. It all began with a few innovative and some might say crazy ideas, like using frequent bands differently from what has been used so far, launching satellites with a larger number of transponders than what others did, co-locating satellites at one and the same orbital position, and marketing small 60-centimeter dishes. With this innovative approach, SES pioneered direct-to-home television via satellite in Europe, and it served as a model for other markets worldwide, including the US, where Dish and DirecTV were launched. So, for example, Charlie Ergen always said he was looking at SES for really developing his Dish business. Rupert Murdoch, in 1988, Rupert Murdoch's Sky Television became our first customer. By the mid-90s, digital technology replaced analog transmissions, and the satellite landscape was populated with hundreds of channels in various languages. Allow me to highlight here the concept of the public-private partnership, which I consider to be one of the main reasons for success, both for the company and for myself. The relationship is built upon the concession agreement granted by the State of Luxembourg to SES for the use of orbital positions and frequencies, and supported by a minority investment from two Luxembourg state banks. I joined the board of SES at the beginning of the 90s as the chairman of one of these banks. Later, when I accepted the position of CEO in 1995, the institutional experience I had gained at the Ministry of Finance over 20 years at national, European, and international levels proved invaluable in transitioning from an industry to an industry which has numerous interactions with national and international organizations. The Arthur C. Clarke Foundation Lifetime Award recognizes imaginative thinking that leads to initiatives with significant positive impact and promise for society. When reflecting on the contribution I might have made to achieve such ambitious goals, the following key steps come to my mind. First, the strategic decision we embarked upon to transition SES from a purely European DTH operator to a global satellite communication company with diversified offerings. This fundamental change in the company's positioning resulted in the investment in new orbital positions, in multiple additional satellites, and the acquisition of satellite operators in other parts of the world, such as GE Americom in the US in 2001, and later on in 2006, New Skies, a spin-off of Intelsat with global coverage. Thereafter, in 2009, SES invested in O3B Networks, a startup planning to operate satellites in medium Earth orbit, a new orbit for commercial satellite operators, allowing for broadband connectivity with low latency like fiber. Today, SES is on the cusp of launching commercial services with the second generation of O3B satellites named O3 mPOWER. Finally, and in order to allow for all of this, we decided as of the mid-90s to switch from a private to a public company. SES's listing on the stock exchange in 1998 offered the required flexibility to raise additional capital and to absorb large acquisitions starting with Americom, which involved offering GE a significant stake in the enlarged entity. At that time, the value of GE Americom represented 2/3 of the value of SES at that time. So you see, this was quite a large transaction. But the arrival of GE also allowed us to instill strong and transparent corporate governance, fostering positive relations with stakeholders. More generally, the satellite landscape has transformed significantly since the late 80s. What was once the domain of intergovernmental organizations for broadcasting and telecommunication services is now predominantly managed by commercial operators. In addition to geostationary satellites, lower orbits are now crowded with satellites providing network, navigation, and Earth observation services to governments and commercial users for fixed and mobile applications. Deep-pocketed investors like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, two awardees also of this foundation, deploy large satellite constellations, Starlink and Kuiper, to provide low-latency broadband internet connectivity, and they are obviously playing in another league than the traditional satellite operators. Yet, these advancements come with their own set of challenges. Space has become an arena of strategic and military competition between nations to a much greater extent than in the past. For example, today we heard on the radio that President Putin is proposing a stronger cooperation between China and Russia in space and in the satellite business. So all of this is getting much more competitive. Additionally, the proliferation of man-made objects in Earth's orbit forces us to address challenges such as orbital congestion and space debris management with a greater sense of responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, because of this award, in the last weeks I have been asked a couple of times what motivated me to work with such commitment to SES over a quite long period. My short answer is that I have been thrilled by connecting people. What an excitement and satisfaction it is to extend the provision of content that entertains, educates, or protects populations and drives business forward. The investment in O3b, a satellite network designed to bring connectivity to the other 3 billion people who lack reliable access to communication systems, is probably the best testimony thereof. Another heartwarming example of positive impact for society was obviously after the fall of the Berlin Wall, when SES satellites allowed millions of people in Eastern Germany and in Eastern European countries to have access to national and international public and commercial TV stations. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, allow me to conclude by once again expressing my gratitude to the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation for this Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is not just a tribute to my humble contribution to extend the benefits of satellite communications worldwide. As I tried to explain, it is a recognition of the collective efforts of the space industry, of SES, of the exceptional individuals I had the privilege to work with, and some of them are here today, as well as to the forward-looking decision makers of the state of Luxembourg who made all of this possible. I hope that my speech allowed you to better appreciate the positive impact our initiatives might have had on the society. And thanks for your attention.